Korea, December 1950, one frozen road, 7,000 feet up. One road. Cut through a mountain pass, 7,000 feet up. The only way home for an entire Marine division. This is the story of the men who held it. By late 1950, the war looked all but won. UN forces had driven the North Korean army back across the 38th parallel. MacArthur pushed for the Yalu and the Chinese border. The troops, he promised, would be home by Christmas. The 1st Marine Division climbed into the Taebaek Mountains, toward a frozen reservoir called Chosin. No one yet knew the Chinese were already waiting in the hills. Late November, 1950. The 1st Marine Division had pushed north to the Chosin Reservoir. Strung out along one mountain road, 2 regiments forward at Yudam-ni, the supply base back at Hagaru-ri. Then, in the dark, the trap closed. The Chinese cut the road in a dozen places at once. The only way out ran back through Toktong Pass. But the hills were not empty. Hidden in the snow, moving only at night, waited 120,000 men. The Chinese 9th Army Group. Their commander, Song Shirluan, had let the Marines march deep into the mountains. Then, on the night of November 27th, he sprang the trap, and cut the road behind them. The Marines were surrounded now, and the cold was closing in. Holding the pass fell to Fox Company, 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, about 240 men. Captain William Barber put his men on the high hill overlooking the road, Fox Hill. Three rifle platoons in a horseshoe, machine gun sighted, digging into ground frozen hard as stone. That first night the cold fell past 20 below. Out in the dark, the Chinese were massing. After dark the hills came alive, bugles, whistles, and a human tide. It began just after 2 a.m., November 28th, not with gunfire, but with sound. Bugles. Whistles in the dark. Then the whole hill lit up. Hundreds came straight up the open slope, walking into the guns. Every machine gun opened together, the snow turned black with the fall. And still they came. On the left, a platoon was overrun. A gap tore open, held now by just 2 men. 8 miles south at Hagaru-ri, the guns of Hagaru-ri, 11th Marines, fired all night for Fox Company. Called in by radio, the shells burst danger close, sometimes within yards of the Marines' own holes. It was the artillery, as much as the riflemen, that kept the hill from being overrun. But on the line, it still came down to the riflemen. One rifleman, fighting barefoot in the snow, held an entire flank. Private Hector Cafferata came out of his sleeping bag firing, and fought the rest of that night in his socks. Beside him, Lieutenant Benson loaded the rifles. 2 men in the open, holding a gap net for 40. A grenade dropped into the pit. Cafferata caught it barehanded and threw it back. It shredded his hand as it left. By first light the slope lay carpeted with the enemy dead. He would receive the Medal of Honor. Captain Barber was shot through the leg, and kept command from the ground. On the second day, a bullet tore through Captain Barber's leg. He refused evacuation. Carried from hole to hole on a stretcher, he kept command of the hill. For 5 days and 5 nights, Fox Company would not give up the pass. And each day, the sky itself became a weapon. When the clouds lifted, the Marine Corsairs came in low. By morning, Fox Company was surrounded on every side, cut off from the division. Barber's orders were simple: hold. Cargo planes dropped ammunition onto the hill. Corsairs rolled in low, laying napalm along the slopes, close enough to feel the heat. Artillery walked shells around the perimeter, danger close, night after night. And every night the Chinese came back up those slopes. Every night, the guns on Fox Hill cut them down. Cut off by road, Fox Company could be supplied only from the air. Transports flew low over the hill, dropping ammunition, grenades, and plasma by parachute onto a perimeter barely 300 yards wide. Some bundles drifted into Chinese hands. Most did not, enough to fight another night. But holding the hill was not the same as escaping it. At Yudam-ni, the two forward regiments got the order they had dreaded: turn around and fight south. But the column could not move an inch until Toktong Pass was retaken. The relief of Fox Company could not wait for daylight. And out in the frozen dark, help was already on the move. To save the division, someone had to break through to Fox Company, and open the pass from the outside. The task fell to Lieutenant Colonel Raymond Davis and the 1st Battalion, 7th Marines. The road was a death trap, swept by fire, cut at every bend. So Davis left the road. On the night of December 1st, he took his battalion straight over the ridgelines, cross-country, into the dark. Through the night, a relief column climbed the ridgelines on foot. The temperature fell past 20 below zero. Men who stopped moving did not get up again. At the point, Lieutenant Kurt Chosin-li broke the trail, navigating by compass and by the stars. 3 ridgelines in the dark, fighting through Chinese blocking positions on the high ground. Davis worked up and down the column, pulling frozen men to their feet, keeping the battalion moving. Above the pass rose the high ground the Chinese had fortified, a frozen ridge the Marines knew only as Hill 1653. Lee's men climbed into machine gun fire and took it, hole by hole, through the last hours of darkness. By dawn the ridge was theirs. Below them, the road to Fox Hill lay open. All that was left was to reach the men who had held it. At first light on December 2nd, Davis's scouts came over the last ridge, and the guns of Fox Hill were still firing. 5 nights. Of 240 men, fewer than 100 could still walk. The hill had held. Davis found Captain Barber, shot through the leg, unable to stand, still directing his Marines. Toktong Pass was open. And down that one road, the trucks finally rolled south. With the pass open, the trap was broken. The regiments at Yudam-ni turned and marched, down the road Fox Company had kept open. Through the pass. Toward Hagaru-ri, and the sea. 5 days. 5 nights. One company held the road for thousands. From Hagaru-ri, the whole division fought south to the sea, carrying its wounded and its dead. Fox Company climbed the hill 240 strong. Barber walked off with about 80 men still standing.